Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, $2.84. XRP, the market's at 3.86 trillion. It just feels like they're just kind of holding this market in that 3.7 trillion to 4 trillion area because they all know what's coming. It just feels that way. In the group today, by the way, in DAIXRP.com, the Patreon, if you'd rather join through YouTube, you can click the join button below any of these YouTube videos, or if you'd rather join through X, hit the subscribe button. I created the Patreon originally because I got kicked off of X, and I realized it was time that I had a place where I could talk about anything, including things I can't talk about out here. So today I'm going to talk about one of those things because I know, look, if you don't know already, censorship is real. It's the most real on the one platform that's never talked about with regard. You hear all the time Twitter 1.0, you hear about Facebook, you hear about TikTok. But I won't say the name, I will say it in the group, but the biggest one that censors is not even thrown into that conversation. I think you know which one I'm talking about. So I'll talk about things I can't talk about out here in there, which is one of those things I'll talk about because I personally have been censored. I'm still censored, big time. Not just censored, but algorithmically screwed ever since we uncovered ETHgate. Okay, moving along. Brad Garlinghouse, per CME Group data, XRP futures contracts were fastest ever, just over 3 months to hit 1 billion in open interest. The writing's on the wall here, folks. The writing's also on the wall here. Think about how much of a PR production you've seen in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. How is it possible that XRP gets even more traction than Solana with all the PR and the CNBC and all of that? How's that possible? It's because XRP is one of the only real communities where people have really looked into what it does and how it's going to affect things.
I would have thought Solana would do pretty well, but we have Solana futures products that could be a decent indicator, and we have the Solana product now that has staking. And ironically,
how are they doing?
Pretty good, actually. But ironically enough, there's also leverage futures XRP and XRP products. Mm-hmm. They actually launched after the Solana products and had even more interest.
Oh, you don't say. And then, of course, because Bitcoin, he has to go on to say that, nothing's going to be as big as Bitcoin, though, BS.
So there's a lot of interest there. Is it going to be the level of interest that the Bitcoin ETF launch had? Absolutely not. Like anyone who thinks like, oh.
Yeah, in the short run, but when utility comes in and regulations, all bets are off because you've had a fake market for 10 years.
Bitcoin ETFs took in 40 billion. My, XRP ETF is going to take in the same amount or whatever. That's just not how this is going to work. These are longer tail assets. I think there will be demand. There will be plenty. There will probably be multiple products for each of these assets to do well. Maybe not all 10 of the ones I listed, but a decent amount of them.
Okay, now I wanted to make a point here. Talking about cross-border payments and stable coins and all this, it is like the cool thing now. But there's only one company in crypto that has been working on cross-border payments from day one and working with regulators. Only one. This has been something, cross-border payments. It's been talked about for over a decade with Ripple. And now all of a sudden it's cool to talk about. This is a guy, Edward Fishman, former State Department official. It was always about cross-border payments, folks, and other things. But what it was really about, which is what I was told a long time ago by someone who I won't say, but what this is really about is preventing World War III and replacing the petrodollar system and strengthening the dollar. That's why crypto was created, and for those of you children that still believe this was some libertarian thing that hatched from just some good guys that wanted to change the world and write some code in it and refer to the bailouts so that you thought it was a libertarian movement. It's time to grow up.
I do believe we are on the precipice of a big change in terms of how cross-border payments work. Because my own view is, when there are new technologies that clearly improve the status quo, it's hard to restrain them indefinitely, right? And if you can clear a cross-border payment in seconds as opposed to 2 weeks, we should probably do the thing that allows that payment to happen in seconds, right?
You can't do it with Bitcoin and Ethereum.
So my own view in terms of stablecoins is it seems like, unless there's a big political shift in the US, we are really putting all the eggs in the stablecoin basket. We're not doing even a wholesale central bank digital currency. And even if there's a new president in 2029 who does authorizes the Fed to do a digital dollar, it might be too late at that point, right? Given how fast some of these, alternatives coming out of China are developing. So my own view is, if I were, to wave a magic wand, I would say we need to figure out a way to ensure that a well-regulated stablecoin ecosystem develops, one that is not used for corrupt practices, is not used for illicit practices, where American consumers are protected, where it's not, they're not going to lose their money, because of some sort of, a scam or something like that. And
you mean like the scams that are going around with Ethereum right now?
Critically, that there are these AML KYC requirements so that they're not being used as a way to skirt sanctions. My own view is that's possible, right? You could build a stablecoin ecosystem where the U.S. has zero less power than they do today to impose sanctions. And that would be good, right? Because I think ultimately you get the benefits without having the costs, with the dollar being used for to fund Iran's nuclear program or finance Putin's imperialism, right?
Okay, this is a great day for a reminder against that backdrop.
There are big announcements. People have been waiting for the new BRICS currency. They did not announce that. That may be years away, but they did something equally important. They created a BRICS payment system, clearance and settlement of securities transactions, and a digital ledger of what one country owes to the other, etc. So it's a payment, balance of payment recording system. Again, all using blockchain technology, which has been around a long time. The importance of that is now they're completely outside the dollar system. It doesn't mean they'll never do another dollar transaction, but recall they've been Russia, at least, and some of the other countries have been kicked out of the dollar system. So if you kick somebody out of the club, they're going to start their own club, and that's exactly what they've done. Now, this is mostly trade-oriented. I don't want to suggest it's the end of the dollar, but it's kind of the beginning of the end. Sterling in 1913 was the global reserve currency, and by 1944, it was a footnote. Well, that took 30 years. These things play out over time. This could move very, very quickly. But one really important element, so let's say Russia ships energy to China, and China pays them in Chinese yuan. And then China ships manufactured goods to Brazil, and Brazil pays them in their local currency. And you're keeping all this on a ledger. The central banks in each country can pay the sellers and the buyers, but the countries then have a ledger where they owe each other a certain amount. Well, you have two problems there. One is you might have too much of the currency, that more than you can really spend. If you have a big yuan balance, but you don't need that much from China, what are you going to do with the excess? The other thing is you have exchange risk. If Russia has a big yuan balance from China and the Chinese yuan devalues, Russia could lose money on that. So how do you solve that? The answer, which is 5,000 years old, is gold. In other words, if you have too much of the other guy's currency, you can just buy some gold, sell for dollars, and buy gold. Or just buy gold directly. I should also mention they set up a new commodities exchange that includes gold. So you can buy gold in local currency and then just have the gold. And that obviously solves your foreign exchange problem. So this is, apart from pointing to the end of the dollar, at least in trade as a trade currency, it's extremely bullish.
Okay. And I mentioned this earlier. This is so true. Ethereum is a hacker's playground. Alert, hackers are hiding malware in Ethereum smart contracts, disguising malicious traffic as normal blockchain activity, reversing labs reports. I mean, there's been more scams around Ethereum than any blockchain, I think. Just a reminder that XRP is huge in Japan. White House put this out. POTUS has signed an executive order officially implementing the U.S.-Japan trade agreement. Here's a discussion that's kind of interesting. They're trying to compare World Liberty Financial to Ripple. This is code language. These guys are basically talking like World Liberty Financial is scammy, and so they're trying to compare it to Ripple. That's how these guys operate.
I think it's if you work through like how are people valuing this, putting aside kind of the political affiliation or connection, would this be like competing against like Ripple is the comp? Because I think the way crypto markets trade is like you have Bitcoin and then you have Litecoin, and everything's a comp to something, right? And so what are people comping this thing to? Is it Aave or DeFi protocols? Is it more like Ripple, Coinbase?
I think it's a meme coin. I mean, I think Haseeb said it right. It's like World Liberty is a $22 billion token, $5.6 billion to the Trump family, with token buybacks, yet no revenue. You don't have to like it, but it's here. It's like, I think it's this, right? It's there's a New York Times article about just like how much of the token is owned by the Trump broader family and agencies, I guess I'd call it. It's like the Trump family itself controls about 22 billion of the World Liberty tokens, suggesting that its holdings as of Monday afternoon were worth about 5 billion, making World Liberty one of the most valuable Trump assets, worth far more than their real estate holdings.
I'm going to read to you a quote, which I tweeted about yesterday, which is from Russ Hahnemann from Silicon Valley Show, which is revenue? No. Why would you go after revenue? If you show people revenue, they'll ask how much, and it will never be enough. The company that was the 100xer or the 1000xer becomes the 2x dog. But if you have no revenue, you can go say you're pre-revenue and you're a potential pure play. That to me summarizes World Liberty and a lot of stuff in crypto. And AI, which is you better off staying generalist. And this is a pure play on long stable coins, long DeFi, and long TradFi adopting crypto rails, which is Ripple. To me, the comp here is Ripple. And
oh, these guys are so predictable. So is this. Here's more Bitcoin maxis. This is the XRP best case scenario is $5 to $7 because these guys do not understand market cap at all around XRP. But I take that back. I don't think it's that they don't understand it. I think that they intentionally try to act like they don't understand it to present things the way they would like them to be. Here we go.
We're going to see prices with some alts, XRP to $8, Solana to $800, BNB to whatever dollars. And I feel like you had some of these charts that you were sharing around, the historical risk levels, where you were showing that if these alts, like these blue chip alts, how they're sometimes referred to, were to go up to these type of prices, it would just be way beyond any sort of risk level that they've ever reached historically. And maybe you can talk to these real quick, because I feel that's what a lot of people don't understand, especially like people who are just on social media and they're hearing like, okay, XRP to $8, it's possible, because Bitcoin has also rallied this much. So maybe if you could recalibrate some of that euphoria, that would be amazing as well.
Yeah, like if you look at XRP, it's always kind of topped out around that 0.9 to 1 risk level. And it's already gone to 0.8 to 0.9 risk. But to give you an idea, I would say that the best case scenario for XRP, assuming Bitcoin goes on a parabolic rally in Q4, best case scenario, as far as I see, is going to be like somewhere between $5 and $7, right? And I know that's going to hit people like a brick wall to hear that, especially if they're looking for a much higher XRP price. But people have to take into account market cap and whatnot. I'm not trying to make the rules here. I'm just saying, look, based on what XRP has historically done, and assuming we have diminishing returns and whatnot, like that would be the price that would be the market cycle top, right?
Oh, these people. Okay, we're going to go into DAIXRP.com. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Here we go.